But first, we go to Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin with more on this armada. Jennifer. Well, Aisha, you just heard the president say he's given Iran a deadline. The ongoing massive military buildup appears to be part of some last-minute gunboat diplomacy. The protests, which raged earlier this month, have quieted for now as regime opponents are too terrified to leave their houses. Meanwhile, Iran remains cut off from the world. Iranian activist Moj Madara, who started the Iranian Diaspora Collective, has spoken with Iranians who are right now in hiding. Internet is up at most 20 minutes a day, and for the most part, they're being listened to by the regime. So people are stuck inside, for all intents and purposes, house arrest. They're now starting to get the news that the numbers are 36,000, upwards of 40, 50,000. One high-profile case, Zara Tabari, a 67-year-old retiree sentenced to death after a brief video trial, has been removed from death row but remains imprisoned. Her son, Soroush Samak, had this warning. If they came for my 67-year-old mom, who didn't do nothing, then nobody is safe. President Trump called off military strikes earlier this month when the regime agreed to halt more than 800 executions. Iranians say those executions have started up again. There has been north of 14 to 15 executions that have already taken place, and the regime is telling on their own state TV they don't care. They have 43,000 people, protesters, that they've arrested. They will be tried as spies, as allies of America, and they are going to murder these people. The U.S. continues to surge military assets into the region, including a carrier strike group, the USS Abraham Lincoln, which is now in the Arabian Sea with dozens of stealth fighter jets. The EU agreed to list Iran's Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist organization, perhaps helping the U.S. lay the groundwork for a legal justification to target the IRGC and Iran's top leaders. Aisha? Okay. Jen Griffin, live for us, Jen, thank you. All right. With us now is State Department spokesperson Tambi Peggott. Tambi, good to have you with us. It looks like when it comes to Iran that the president is employing the tried and true gunboat diplomacy. Here's what he said just a little while ago. Listen here. Very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now, and it would be great if we didn't have to use them. I told them two things. Number one, no nuclear, and number two, stop killing protesters. They're going to have to do something. Nobody's seen anything like it. So the president is urging Iran to make a deal. Well, I mean, what kind of deal is he looking for? What is he looking to get out of these talks? Well, look, the president has been very clear. He outlined the two messages he has for the regime right there: no nuclear weapons, and to stop killing protesters. What the president is doing here is peace through strength. The president's been clear he wants to have a deal. He'll have talks with people when it's in our national interest to do so. And the demands, the message that he is sending to the Iranian regime, has been very clear. He's done it repeatedly. All right? So many people in Iran and in the United States believe that the time for regime change is now, that the regime is in very, very bad shape. Listen to what Marco Rubio, your boss, said about it just a little while ago. That regime is probably weaker than it has ever been. And the core problem they face, unlike the protests you saw in the past on some other topics, is that they don't have a way to address the core complaints of the protesters, which is that their economy is in collapse. So is it time for a change? Well, ultimately, as the secretary was talking about there, is that the Iranian regime has wasted their vast wealth. Instead of funding infrastructure for water, food, and energy, they've wasted it on malign activities. And the important context here is, from the beginning of this administration, we've had a maximum pressure policy instituted by President Trump to deny the Iranian regime the revenues they need to continue those malign activities, to fund those malign activities, including that nuclear program, including a ballistic missile program, including funding their terrorist proxies across the region. We're seeing further sanctions and actions being taken even this week in furtherance of that maximum pressure policy. That's been the context here. The regime wasting their vast wealth. Instead of meeting the needs of their people, they're wasting it on these malign activities. right? So again, do you believe it's time for regime change? Well, ultimately, what we're focused on here is advancing the national interest of the United States. The president's been clear. He wants to see a deal that would address these malign activities and further our interests. And he's had those messages for the regime, including no nuclear weapons and to stow